The fascination started with a movie. The hero builds a machine, jumps back a few decades, and erases his parents' arguments before they even happen. It is a fun concept, but the mechanics of physically walking into the past stayed with me. The very next day, I arrived at school only to find that classes were abruptly canceled for the following morning. When I asked why, a teacher explained that the calendar was not fixed. The start of the Eid holiday relies entirely on a physical event, spotting the crescent moon in the night sky. Because of how the Earth rotates, the moon would be clearly visible in Dubai by tomorrow night. For the people living there, the holiday would officially begin, but from our own city, the angle is different. We would not be able to see that same moon until a full 24 hours later. This meant the physical celebration of Eid, thousands of people gathering together in prayer, was split into two separate timelines, depending entirely on their location on the globe. This geographic discrepancy proves that time is not a rigid universal constant. It is a variable that shifts with our position, which suggests our experience of a date can be manipulated. I proposed a thought experiment to my teacher. What if you could travel fast enough to celebrate tomorrow in Dubai and then immediately return here to experience the exact same event the day after? He laughed and shut the idea down. A human being simply cannot physically cross that distance fast enough to outpace the spinning clock. But the logic held. If a person possessed a machine capable of generating that required velocity, the physical walls separating the present from the future would collapse. To understand why we are trapped in the present, I needed to identify the exact physical forces acting as wardens. I needed to investigate the laws of physics that actively kill our momentum. Instead of guessing, I went straight to the existing scientific literature. Physicists have spent decades detailing the math behind time machines. I cross-referenced dozens of papers, and every single theoretical model hits the exact same dead end. The math always fails against three highly specific physical constraints. The first constraint is gravity. Think of it as a tightly woven net stretched across the entire planet. Every single particle and object on Earth is subjected to this heavy downward pull. No matter how high something is propelled, gravity eventually forces it back against the surface. The second constraint is the speed limit. To punch through the temporal barrier, an object must achieve a velocity that strains comprehension. Humanity has yet to engineer an engine capable of generating that sustained thrust. Even the fastest entity in the universe has a ticking clock. Light from the sun takes 8 minutes to hit Earth. It arrives as a relic of the past. These two forces work in tandem. Gravity pins our bodies to the physical space of the present, while the absolute limit of velocity ensures our engines can never race ahead into tomorrow. But the final constraint is the most absolute. It is physical mass. Because gravity exerts its force on every coordinate of the planet, any object occupying physical space inherently carries weight. If you were to somehow construct an engine powerful enough to accelerate a heavy object to temporal velocities, the friction and energy generated would be violent. A human body subjected to those forces would instantly ignite. The flesh and bone would incinerate under the stress, breaking down into ash and vanishing long before the machine even approached the required speed. I spent 3 days running these variables, and the conclusion was bleak. Our own biology makes the journey impossible. The human body is heavily constructed, and the laws of the universe are rigidly enforced. The math leaves zero room for survival, ensuring a physical time machine built for human passengers will never function. After 72 hours of hitting the same mathematical walls, I closed the books and surrendered to the physical limits of the universe. Then the telephone rang. Looking at it, the focus shifted from the machine itself to the nature of the signal arriving from the other end. When you speak into a phone, your voice is converted into a signal, traversing vast distances without friction and without heat. And the signal transmitting that data carries zero physical weight. If an entity has no mass, then the forces of gravity and weight that destroy physical objects have zero jurisdiction over it. Designing a vehicle for heavy flesh leads to destruction. However, a system built for massless entities, like the electrical signals that carry information, or even the neural data of a human mind, operates under a different set of physical permissions. Our physical forms are firmly bolted to the present, but the science of sending our messages and our consciousness piercing through the temporal barrier is only just beginning.